The alien ship hovered above the forgotten planet, its dark shadow crawling across the broken ground. Dust storms moved through the ruins like ghosts. This world had once been a human colony, but no human had lived here for more than 100 years. The buildings were dead. The sky was silent, but something was waiting. Commander Virik, a tall, four-eyed alien from the Delvani species, stepped out of the ship. His silver armor glowed in the weak sunlight. He scanned the area with sharp eyes. "Scan everything," he ordered. "We are not leaving empty-handed." Behind him, 6 alien scientists moved across the ruins. Each one was from a different species, some with glowing skin, some with tentacles, others floating slightly above the ground. They began scanning the broken buildings, searching for old tech, human history, anything of value. A younger alien, Kil, from the Nervan race, wandered into a half-buried human bunker. The doors were half open, and the inside was dark. But his scanner flashed with weak signals. He moved the rubble aside and stepped in. "Commander," Kil said through his comm, "there's something here. Old, but not broken." Inside the bunker, the lights had long died, but dust still covered the floor like snow, untouched for years. Kil's scanner led him to a small weapons rack, fallen over in the corner. Blades, old rifles, and gear lay. Scattered dot, and in the center of it all was a sword dot. It was not shiny or advanced. It was simple, a human sword. The kind from Earth's early days in space. It was brown with rust, the handle worn down by use. But something about it made Kil freeze. He reached for it, his fingers shaking. The moment he touched the blade, he screamed. His voice echoed through the bunker like thunder. The sword dropped from his hand, and he fell backward, clutching his head. Blood poured from his nose. His eyes were wide, staring but seeing something else. The cum crackled. "Kil? What happened? Are you under attack?" But Kil didn't answer. He lay still, whispering words in a language no alien had heard before, Earth English. Commander Virik rushed into the bunker with 2 guards. They found Kil lying next to the blade, pale and shaking. "What happened here?" Virik barked. "One." Guard tried to help Kil, but the young alien just kept whispering. "It's still alive. It remembers. The screams, the fire." Virik looked at the sword. It didn't glow. It didn't move. It was just a piece of metal, but the air around it felt heavy wrong. Virik ordered it to be taken back to the ship. But no one wanted to touch it. In the end, they used a machine arm to lift it. As the ship took off, one of the scientists looked at the blade through the glass. "It's just old human metal," he said nervously. "Why are we afraid?" Virik didn't answer, because deep inside, he was afraid too. Not of what the blade could do, but of what it remembered. Back on the alien ship, the rusty human blade was locked inside a sealed glass case. The scientists stood around it, watching carefully. Red warning lights blinked. No one wanted to get close. Dr. Senex, a thin, floating alien with pale green skin, adjusted the scanning device. "Begin scan now," he said quietly. A beam of light passed over the sword, then again, then a third time. The screen blinked, then went black. "No data," one assistant said. "It's not responding," Dr. Senex frowned. "Try a molecular scan. Maybe it's made from unknown elements." Another scan started. But again, the result was the same. Nothing. "It's like the blade is blocking us," Senex said. "Or hiding." Commander Virik stepped forward. "That blade made one of my men scream and collapse. It spoke to him in Earth language. And now you're saying it can't be scanned. That's not normal." "Nothing about this is normal," Senex replied. They tried sound waves, magnetic fields, heat sensors, even light-based memory readers. Everything failed. Finally, a small robot arm gently lifted the sword and brought it close to a chemical test chamber. As the first drop of testing fluid touched the metal, the blade Flash. The room turned ice cold. Everyone froze. The lights flickered. Alarms began ringing. But not from any system they recognized. A whisper filled the room. It didn't come from the speakers. It came from the blade. You are not worthy. Dr. Senex stepped back. Did anyone else hear that? I did, said one of the guards. But it didn't speak in words. It spoke in my mind. Commander Virak clenched his jaw. We need reinforcements. Bring in the psych team. And the elite unit. If this thing is dangerous, I want to be ready, Senex nodded. I'll call for a telepath. Maybe they can speak with it. Hours later, a second ship arrived. It carried a small team of elite alien soldiers and one rare telepath named Nira, a member of a species able to connect to thoughts and feelings of objects. Even machines. Nira stood in front of the case and closed her eyes. Her tendrils glowed faint blue as she reached out mentally. Suddenly, she gasped. Her hands began to shake. I see fire fire a human warrior, covered in blood, laughing in madness and then he poured himself into the blade. Nira collapsed. Silence. The room went still. Commander Virak looked around. Everyone out. Leave the room sealed. Now. Behind the glass, the rusty human blade sat still. But it was watching them, and it was remembering the research lab on deck. 3 had never felt so cold. Even though the heat regulators were on maximum, every alien inside felt a chill deep in their bones. No one spoke unless they had to. The glass case holding the rusty human blade had been moved to the containment furnace room. Commander Virak stood behind the safety window. You're sure this can destroy it? Dr. Senex didn't look confident. This chamber can melt titanium within seconds. If this blade is made of any known metal, it will turn to dust. Virak nodded slowly. Do it. A robotic arm lifted the sword and lowered it into the plasma furnace. The heat rose. Inside the chamber, the air shimmered. Flames wrapped around. The blade. Then. Something strange happened. The flames turned from red to blue. The temperature climbed past the safe limit. The metal inside the furnace began to drip, but the sword stayed solid. The sensors started blinking wildly. One screamed a warning. Shut it down, Senex yelled. It's overloading. The fire raged hotter. The blade began to glow, not with heat, but with something else. A faint red line moved across its center like a pulse. Then the blade screamed. It wasn't metal bending. It wasn't pressure. It was a voice. A loud, ancient, human scream that echoed through every speaker, every mind, every wall. The blast from the furnace knocked out the lights. When backup power came online, the entire room was filled with smoke. Systems were fried. The furnace door had exploded outward. And yet. The sword still floated in the center of the chamber. Untouched. A dark burn mark surrounded it in a perfect circle. No one dared enter. Dr. Senex stared in shock. That shouldn't be possible. One of the guards whispered. It got stronger. Commander Virak looked at the glowing line still pulsing on the blade. It liked the fire. Later that cycle, recordings from the chamber were analyzed. They discovered something terrifying. In the background of the scream. Just for 1 second, another voice could be heard. Calm. Cold. Human. Melt me again. I remember war. After that, the crew refused to stay near the weapon. One soldier asked for transfer. Another one went silent and stared at the wall for hours. Even the toughest among them felt a pressure they couldn't explain. Dr. Senex called for higher command. This is no weapon, he said in his report. It's a grave, a soul trapped in metal, a memory wrapped in rage. Commander Virak didn't speak, because deep in his chest, he knew something worse. This blade didn't want to be destroyed. It wanted to be woken up, and someone was going to answer. No one wanted to go near the blade. After the fire incident, the rusty sword was placed in a new chamber, stronger walls. No windows, just one table. Motion sensors surrounded it. Drones kept watch from every angle, but the blade never moved. It just sat there. Waiting. Commander Virak stood outside the chamber, watching through a screen. Has it reacted today? Dr. Senex shook his head. No, but something's changed. It's humming, faintly. Only our machines can hear it. Humming? Virak asked. Senex nodded. Like it's breathing. Virak didn't like that answer. Hours later, a technician named Drogan, part of the Zerel species, was ordered to run system tests. He was young, eager, and tired of being afraid of a simple Earth weapon. I'll go in, Drogan said, annoyed. It's just a dead object. No, Senex warned. Don't touch it. Just scan. But Drogan didn't listen. He entered the room in full gear. The door hissed shut behind him. The sword was on the table, still rusted. Still silent. Drogan looked at it closely. It's not glowing now, he said through comms. Just old junk. Leave it alone, Virak ordered. Don't be foolish. But Drogan stepped forward. Then he reached out. His fingers wrapped around the handle. At first, nothing happened. Then Drogan's body went stiff. His eyes rolled back. He let out a deep gasp and suddenly spoke in a strange, rough voice. Whence cometh thee, creature of cold? Stars? The room fell silent. The voice wasn't Drogan's. It was older. Human, full of pain and rage. Virak shouted through the comms. Drop the sword, now! But Drogan didn't respond. His eyes glowed a faint red. His lips moved again. I fought. On Luna. I bled on Titan. I buried my brothers in Martian soil. The guards ran toward the door, but it was locked. The system had frozen. Inside, Drogan raised the sword. I remember every scream, every fire, every step through hell. His hand trembled. Then he dropped the blade. Instantly, the room went dark. Lights flickered. Then returned. Drogan collapsed. Medics rushed in minutes later. He was alive but unconscious. His scans showed no damage. But his brain was active, too active, as if reliving something. A memory, a war. Later, when he woke up, he couldn't speak. His own language. He only spoke Old Earth English. Where's my squad? He asked. Who are you talking about? Senex questioned. My brothers, Sykes, Herrera, Jin. We were pinned down near Olympus Mons. That battle had happened 160 years ago. And those names were real. They checked Earth's war records. There had been a Sergeant Drogan back then. Human. Dead. And now. This alien technician knew everything about him. Down to his final words. Commander. Virak stepped back from the screen, his face pale. The sword is not a weapon. Dr. Senex nodded slowly. No, it's a doorway. The rusty human blade was no longer just an artifact. It was now locked inside a special containment unit aboard the Empire's high ship, home of the Galactic War Council. 25 alien species made up the council, each one powerful, ancient, and proud. They had ruled parts of the galaxy for centuries. They had destroyed fleets, crushed rebellions, built weapons that could erase moons, but none of them had ever feared a sword until now Commander Virak arrived with the blade under heavy guard. It was sealed in a black glass case, reinforced with psychic dampeners and anti-memory fields. Number 1 touched it. No one spoke near it. Even inside the sealed chamber, the sword hummed, not a sound. A feeling, low, like thunder waiting far away. Inside the council hall, leaders gathered. Tall, strange, armored and robed. Each leader sat behind their personal shield fields. Floating above them was the memory cloud, a shared AI designed to record, analyze, and translate everything instantly. Virak stood in the center. He didn't speak yet. The blade spoke first, but not in sound. The entire council chamber went quiet. The memory cloud flickered, then crashed. Lights dimmed. The air turned heavy. Then, one by one, each council member saw something different. The Ajeran warlord saw his home planet burning, his people screaming. The Telic high priest saw himself standing alone on a mountain of bones. The Kortian queen saw her son, dead, holding the rusty blade. Even Virik saw himself on Earth, standing in the middle of a battlefield. As a human walked toward him, smiling through blood, then the voice came from everywhere. From the blade, from inside them. You killed for glory. You ruled without pain. You think war is a game. I was forged in screams. Suddenly, boom. A psychic wave exploded from the blade's case. Shield. Fields shattered. Stone walls cracked. Some council members collapsed. One screamed and clawed at his face, crying about fire under his skin. The blade hadn't moved an inch, and yet it had broken them. Dr. Senix, watching from behind a sealed wall, whispered, "It's broadcasting war. Old war. Human war." Ah! War Council guard stepped forward with a plasma rifle, aiming it at the blade. "Do not move," Virik said. Too late. The moment the guard stepped inside the ring of light around the sword, his body stopped. He floated, arms out, eyes wide. "Who gave you permission to stand in my shadow?" The voice said through him. Then his body dropped. Dead. No wound. No weapon. Just gone. Commander Virik shouted, "Shut it down! Shut everything down!" But the lights stayed dark. The voice spoke one last time. "I buried my name in steel. I buried my rage in flame. You woke me. Now burn with me." And then silence. The sword stopped glowing. The memory cloud rebooted. Everything returned to normal. Except the people. Half the council couldn't speak. Others were too shaken to stand. One thing was clear. This was no ordinary weapon. This was something older than logic. Older than peace. Something human-made. But no longer human. Something waiting for war. The Galactic War Council was silent. The chamber lay in ruins. Some members were still unconscious. Others refused to speak of what they saw. Everyone feared the same thing now. That blade was not just dangerous. It was alive. Commander Virik sat in the ship's communication chamber, staring at a blinking screen. He had sent a priority-level message to Earth's Central Command days ago. He didn't expect a reply. Humans hadn't answered calls from the Empire in years. They lived quietly now. Separate, distant, strangely calm. But today, the screen lit up. Incoming message. Origin. Everyone gathered. Technicians, guards, scientists, even Dr. Senix stood in silence. The screen turned black. Then a symbol appeared. An old Earth military crest. A voice followed. Male, calm, deep, human. "We received your report." Everyone leaned in. "You have found something that was never meant to be found." Dr. Senix whispered, "They know about the blade. We lost that sword during the Exodus Wars. It was not a weapon. It was a prisoner, forged to contain a mind that refused to die. His name was wiped from all records, his wars burned into steel. The blade holds not just memory, but vengeance." Senix gasped. "A living soul?" "We buried it in silence, let it rust in forgotten ground. Now you have touched it, woken it. You are not prepared." The voice paused. Everyone waited. "Return it now. Or bury yourselves." Then clicked. The screen went dark. No signature. No trace. Commander Virik's face was pale. Dr. Senix stepped forward. That voice didn't feel like a threat. Virik nodded slowly. It felt like a warning. An old soldier in the room whispered, "Why would they lock away a warrior like that instead of killing him?" Senix answered, "Because maybe they couldn't." That same day, sensors picked up strange energy pulses coming from the blade again. Low, Steady, like a heartbeat, but not mechanical. Living. The scientists now believed the blade had begun. Bonding with the ship, with the crew, maybe with the galaxy itself. The rust didn't hide weakness. It was a cage, and now the cage was cracking. For 2 days, the rusty human blade sat still. No glow. No sound, no voice. Some on the ship began to relax. They thought it had gone silent again, that maybe Earth's warning was wrong. That maybe the nightmare was over. They were wrong. Late into the cycle, an engineer named Therex entered the chamber alone. He was not authorized. He wasn't even part of the research team. But he was curious. He was angry too. His brother had died during the first energy burst. Burned to dust with no body left. Therex blamed the blade. "I'll end this," he muttered. He opened the case. The alarms didn't go off. The sword just lay there, like it had been waiting. Therex grabbed the handle with both hands, and the ship shook. Not a system error. Not an explosion. The blade pulsed. Blue light ran across the walls like lightning. Everyone felt a sudden pull in their chest, like something was watching them from inside. In the chamber, Therex stood tall. His body glowed, but his eyes were no longer his. "Yes," he whispered, "you remember me." The voice was not his. Commander Virak arrived with guards. "Stand down, let go of the blade." But Therex didn't move. He turned slowly. His face was calm. His eyes were blood red. "I bled for Earth. I burned for peace. You forgot me." He raised the blade. Without moving his feet, he crossed the chamber in a blink. 2 guards flew backward, thrown by invisible force. Not cut, not touched. Just broken. One guard screamed, "That's not Therex. He's gone." Dr. Senex rushed to override the chamber systems. Lockdown now." Virak stepped forward. "What do you want?" The blade through. Therex answered, "I want what was taken. My war." Therex fell silent. Then, without warning, he stabbed the floor. The sword didn't cut through the metal. It sank into it like water. And where it touched, the floor turned black. A crack formed. Strange symbols spread outward, glowing red. The blade was changing the ship, corrupting it. Virak shouted, "Seal the room. Eject the deck if you have to." But it was too late. Tarix, or whatever was inside him, raised his head again. "You built machines to rule stars," he said, "but forgot the man who walked through fire." Then his voice dropped lower. "I was never a weapon. I was punishment." A sudden burst of force knocked every system offline for 10 seconds. When power returned, Therex was gone. So was the blade. Only a burn mark remained. In the shape of a hand. The next day, reports came from nearby systems. Stations had blackouts. Shadows moved where no life was present. And in one silent cargo ship, a survivor was found curled in a corner, shaking. He whispered only 2 words. "The sword walks." The galaxy's greatest scientists gathered again, this time under the watchful eyes of the Galactic War Council. The blade was back in their hands, not as a weapon, but as a mystery they needed to solve. Dr. Senex stood before a massive screen, showing the blade's inner structure, revealed by new scans. "What we see is not just metal," he said slowly. "This sword was forged with something living." A younger researcher gasped. "Living? You mean like organic material?" Senex nodded. "Yes, human blood, bone fragments, even neural tissue." The room went silent. Commander Virak frowned. "Why would anyone forge a weapon like this, with living material?" Dr. Senex's eyes darkened. "To trap a soul." The team dug deeper. The sword's core held microscopic patterns, memory fragments, trapped in metal. Ancient human war memories, pain, anger, rage. They found records buried in Earth's old military archives, secret projects during the Exodus Wars, experiments to transfer consciousness into weapons, to create soldiers who could never die. The Blade wasn't just a tool. It was a prison for the most brutal warriors men who fought with fury beyond reason. As Senex explained, the blade pulsed faintly. The red glow seemed to breathe. We believe the warriors' minds were sealed inside the steel. Their rage powers the blade. Their pain feeds it. Virik shivered. So the sword remembers every battle? Yes, Senex replied. It remembers. It waits. Suddenly, alarms blared. Security breach. A guard shouted. Outside the lab, chaos reigned. The rogue alien warrior Therix had returned, changed by the blade. His body no longer fully alien. His mind twisted by centuries of human war. He stood outside the lab doors, eyes glowing red, hand clutching the air. The sword's power flowed through him. Like a storm, he spoke with a voice not his own. I am the war you forgot, the fury you buried, the blade you feared. He smashed the door open. The scientists fled. Commander Virik stood firm. This ends now, he said. Tar IX laughed, a sound that was both human and something else. You cannot end what does not die. The blade was alive. And it was hungry. The stage is set for the final confrontation. If you want, I can prepare part 9. The thrilling conclusion where the blade's terrifying legacy unfolds across the galaxy. Shall I continue? The alien fleet was ready. Shields up, engines primed. Every soldier on alert. They decided the only way to stop the cursed blade was to launch it into a dying star where nothing could survive. Commander Virik watched from the bridge as the containment pod carrying the rusty sword moved toward the star. All systems normal, the pilot reported. The blade rested inside the pod, silent, cold. Then, without warning, alarms screamed. The pod's locks exploded open. The sword was gone. No trace. No signal, only a faint echo of metal against metal. The crew looked around, tense. Where is it? Virik demanded. Then the reports came. Ships in nearby systems were attacked by invisible blades. No one saw the weapons, only deadly slashes, cutting through hulls and armor. Crew members vanished. Pilots screamed of shadows with red eyes. The sword was no longer just a weapon. It was a force, a ghost, a nightmare. Across the galaxy, the whispers grew. The rusty blade walks again. In a remote outpost, an alien survivor was found. His eyes wide with terror. He gasped. They fought the blade. They lost. It knows their fear. It feeds on it. Commander Virik clenched his fists. The blade was not done. It was free, and the war it carried in its steel was just beginning. The end. For now.